Johnette's Garden Club is brought to you by Aiken's Nursery and Landscaping.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Johnette's Garden Club. This is a monthly podcast that we do here at KTBS, and I'm with Jennifer McJimsey, the owner of Aiken's, to talk about the things that we're going to be doing in November and December. And it's really not hard to figure out where we're focused right now. So let's talk about poinsettias. What do we need to understand about poinsettias? They're so beautiful.
They are, yes, they are. Well, I would say, as a general rule, treat them the same way you would one of your houseplants. So they're not going to want to be in, the nighttime temperatures below 40. You're going to want to not let them sit in water. You're going to want to kind of check them for water at least once or twice a week. And I would recommend watering with warm water when the soil is dry to the touch, and never to get water on the colorful bracts. You just want to water the soil.
Now, we talked about that with Mom. Same thing. You don't, because most of us pour right on top.
Yeah.
And that's all wrong.
That is not the best way to care for them. Right. You don't want to get any water on these beautiful leaves. You just want to water the soil, but never let it sit in water. So after you water, a lot of people like to wrap them in foil. I know that we do whenever we send them out of the store, and that's so lovely, but I would either cut a little slit in the bottom of the foil or just go back and feel, make sure that it's not building up water down in there, because that will definitely kill the poinsettia.
So let's talk about decorating with poinsettias. Considering that they don't love a freeze, what do you all recommend? What do you recommend with placement and use of them?
Yeah, you can definitely use them to decorate outdoors. We're so, we're in the 80s this week, so you can definitely use them outdoors, but anytime your nighttime temperatures are consistently below 40 degrees, I would bring them inside.
All right. Often we see them looking pretty droopy. They need to be watered regularly?
Yes, it's going to be at least once or twice a week you need to be checking it.
Realistically, how long can you keep them alive?
Well into January and February if they're well watered. And one good tip is whenever you're at the store and you're looking around, the tighter these little buds are, the fresher they are. So if they're all, completely bloomed out, that one's not going to have quite as much life left. But as long as you're caring for it, I've had people keep poinsettias alive for a year, so it's definitely possible.
So, but it's not something you could move into your garden bed, clearly. Yeah, it's life is in a pot.
Yeah, you could plant them, but they are very tender. So, the first bit of heavy rain or wind, they're very delicate. So the bracts are very delicate, and that's why when you're going to and from the store with them, you really need to be mindful, because if you're picking them up, these little bracts can fall very easily.
Now, what do you mean by bracts?
The stems.
Stems, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And you've got quite a few examples here. We've got miniature white, so they really come in quite a few colors.
There are a lot of colors, and people they know what they like on certain colors. Obviously your traditional red and white, and then there's marbles and jingle bells, and these are actually called poinsettias. So you can see that the bloom is a little bit different. It's more like a star.
That's really pretty. I haven't seen that before. Has it been around for a while?
We've carried them for at least the last 4 years.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really
and those
dainty.
come in pinks and lots of different colors.
But of course, the traditional red is...
It's hard to beat.
It's hard to beat. It's so very showy. And of course, that red is Christmas red.
Yeah. And I do feel like poinsettias get a really bad rap on toxicity. Everybody thinks, they're toxic to cats, they're toxic to children. There's been more studies done on the poinsettia than any other plant, and their level of toxicity is very low. I think you would have to ingest like 500 to 600 leaves to even have mild stomach discomfort. So no one needs to be eating them. No one's pets should eat them. They're not a food, but I don't think you have to forego the tradition, out of fear of, it being toxic to your pets.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. Okay, so you have got the world's biggest bulb, and no, this is not an onion.
No.
Talk about this particular bulb.
Yeah. Okay, so this is an amaryllis bulb, and they come up with these long stems and the most beautiful blooms. And the great thing about the amaryllis bulbs is you can actually force them indoors. So you can get them to bloom in your house without having to plant them outside. And so whenever you prepare to force a amaryllis bulb, I like to take my pot and fill it with soil, with potting soil. And you could use any old pot. I mean, it doesn't have to be an actual pot. You could use bowls, or if you have other festive Christmas mugs, you know, anything that you want to use. And it would be nice if it had drainage, but if you do not have a container with drainage, I would just start with the first inch of rock. Okay. So that if you do overwater, that water has somewhere to go. And then you're going to cover about 2/3 of the bulb with the soil, and you want to be careful with these roots. This is the root system that's going to, you know, drink its water from the soil, and then you just want to moisten that soil and get it in a sunny spot in your house, and out she'll come. Yeah.
And then next year, and I've actually done this, you put her in the garden and she shows off every year from there on out, provided you put her in a good spot.
That's right, yeah. So after she finishes blooming, you can just cut off the dead foliage, plant it in the yard. They'll come back every spring.
Do they multiply?
No, they'll be kind of like the way elephant ear bulbs do. How the bulb itself isn't going to multiply, but it's going to get bigger and bigger. And the bigger the bulb, the more blooms.
So that's why we have a really big bulb here.
Yes, yes. And then, you know, these are also the flower that you'll see around, like we sell them waxed. And they are so hot. People just love to give them. And so they're already waxed on a little stand. And when they're waxed, it kind of preserves the moisture. And so you don't have to have water or soil for them to bloom. So you can literally just set it out in that wax and it's going to bloom.
So it's a real living amaryllis with wax all over it.
Wax on the outside, and that helps preserve that moisture so it doesn't need any water for it to bloom.
Oh, that's amazing.
They are amazing. They're a lot of fun.
So is it a good time to start them right now?
Yeah, you've got about 6 to 8 week lead time on that. We do have a little chart that we can post that'll show if you want them to bloom by this date, this is when you should plant them.
All right, and then in the meantime, is there anything special you have to do with them when you buy it? This one right here, and you haven't got it in the ground
No,
yet?
it doesn't have to be chilled or anything. You just want to keep it in a dry, you know, moderate temperature place until you're ready for it to start blooming, because whenever you plant it and give it water, that's going to start the blooming process.
All right, so we have some more bulbs here too.
Yes, okay, and so these are paper whites. Paper whites are also, they're that very fragrant with the cute little delicate white flower. It's actually a narcissus, so it is in the same family as the daffodils, but they have a very nice fragrance. And I like to plant paper whites in pea gravel. So you would take whatever container, again, it doesn't have to be a pot, but you certainly can use a pot, and then fill it with the pea gravel about 2 or 3 inches, not a ton, because you don't want it to be too heavy. So if you, and then you're gonna just wanna use the pea gravel to basically situate the bulbs, to keep them upright. And then you're going to fill, you're gonna put some water into that pea gravel to where it's almost touching the bulbs. You don't want to submerge the bulbs in water because that would encourage them to rot. But if you can just kind of get the water to about right there, and I've even used Q-tips or toothpicks, okay, to see, okay, how far down is my water level? Because you just want enough for these roots to start to grow and to access the water.
And then they come up and they're beautiful.
Yeah, about the same timeline, about 6 to 8 weeks on those as well.
Now, daffodils, easy bulbs, and they'll come back for 50 years. Paper whites, do they come back?
Yeah, you could. The interesting thing is that they're so easy to force indoors. So that's what makes them so special. Like, you wouldn't be able to just put daffodil bulbs in a similar manner. They're all not going to force indoors for you. This variety of narcissus, the paper white, does bloom indoors very easily, and so it makes it a lot of fun to do.
So let's elaborate on this concept of forcing indoors for people who haven't heard that phrasing. What does that mean?
Well, you're basically making the plant work on your timeline. So that's the forcing part. So normally a daffodil or a narcissus planted or even a amaryllis bulb is not going to bloom this time of year, right? If they're in the ground, the environmental elements are not proper for them to go ahead and bloom now. But by bringing them inside, you're controlling the water, the temperature, and so you're forcing them to bloom at the time that's right for you so that we could enjoy them during the holiday season.
So you're basically fooling them into thinking it's a different time of year?
Exactly. Forcing, fooling, yes.
And is forcing something that we do in all climates and zones, or is that just unique to our climate, or do
No, yeah, everybody. Oh, I think Martha Stewart probably started it. I mean, right? Doesn't she start everything?
Right.
Yeah, and then, after you get your pea gravel, some people will put little nativities in there, or you might go back with some green sheet moss. You can even take clippings from your trees to tuck in there. So there's a lot of ways to make your pot look festive while you're waiting for the bloom.
All right, and paper whites, they're so beautiful.
Yes.
They really are so very delicate.
Yes.
And you said they're fragrant?
Yes, and you either love it or you not so much. Some people don't like the smell, but I do love it. And one other tip, I have heard that if you put 1 part vodka to 7 parts water, whenever you water them, it will help keep the stems from getting too long and stretching.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just any old brand will do.
Okay, don't need a fancy brand
No.
for the paper whites. All right. Oh, this is what I love. This
Oh.
beautiful real foliage for people who love a beautiful wreath, real garland. Talk about this and caring for it.
Yeah, so this is fresh off the truck. So this is real cedar garland, and this is an 18-foot roll, so it's all wired up. But, it would stretch out. And the reality is most of the garland and the wreaths that are going to be enjoyed this season have already been cut. So in order to care for it, it's okay to buy it now. You just want to take it and store it in the shade outside where it can get access to the most moisture. So like the side of your house in the shade where it might get hit by the sprinklers or it's going to get the dew. That's going to really help prolong the life until you're ready to decorate with it. And then the day before you're ready to decorate, I would soak it in water, just lukewarm water. Regular tap water is fine. You can do it in your bathtub. You could do it in one of those big plastic moving tubs. Just something that you can get full of water. Put this down in there. Let it soak for like 2 hours or even overnight if you have the time, and then let it dry out completely, and then decorate. And that's really going to help extend the life of it.
So what is the life of something like this before it starts dropping needles? What can you count on?
Yeah, well, what I do love about the cedar garland is it does dry very pretty. So it's not going to drop a bunch of needles in your house the way a lot of greenery will. It's going to dry pretty, and it's just going to depend on the conditions in your house. Now, if this was outside on a fence line or, I would expect it to stay green, into January. But inside, we're running fireplaces, we're running the heater. There's a lot of, factors that are going to dry it out quicker. So you just want to, soak it. You could use wilt stop to help, but the key is really to give it a good soak and try not to, like if you hang it over your fireplace, just keep in mind, the more you run that fire, the faster it's going to dry it out.
Okay, so you mentioned this is cedar. Talk about the different types of garland that you can create, different plants that you can use, and why you like this particular one.
Yeah, well, this is the cedar garland. We also carry one that we call premium, and it's got a cedar base, and then it also has pine and Fraser fir and noble fir, so it's kind of a mixture of several different textures, and a lot of people like that look. So, it's just personal preference.
And this is like a hose. It's all one piece. Can you take it and create wreaths from here, or are you better off buying the wreath already pre-made?
I would buy the wreath because the wreath has a wreath mold on the back, and they use that mold, and then they stuff all the green. I should have grabbed a wreath as well, but we've got, the wreaths are going to go from 22 inches all the way up to 40 inches. And I would definitely soak them as well. And keep in mind that if they're going, even though they're outside a lot of times on your front door, that hot sun can really do a number.
So once you've got it hanging on your door and you've got that hot sun, how do you don't water it, or do you water it?
You could. I mean, you can mist it. And they also make products, like there's one that's called wilt proof that is basically an antiperspirant, so it's supposed to help seal in the moisture. We pre-treat all of ours that we sell, and so they're going to already have that applied. But I mean, you can definitely mist it. I think if you happen to have a front door that's facing that hot afternoon sun, you just might want to be mindful of it. If it's 80 degrees, just tuck them away for the day because it can speed up the process, that hot sun.
All right, so great for indoors or outdoors.
Yes.
All right. Christmas trees.
Christmas trees.
Let's talk about Christmas trees. Now, I believe we've been hearing that most of the artificial Christmas trees come from China. And so we've got some issues there. A lot of people love real Christmas trees.
Yeah, I do. I love a real Christmas tree. The key is keeping water in the bowl, okay?
Yeah.
If you keep that bowl of water full from the time it gets the first fresh cut until, you know, you're ready to dispose of it, it shouldn't dry out. The problem is if, let's say, the first few days, those trees are going to drink water really, really quick. Well, if you fill it up when the tree's first delivered and then 2 days goes by and it drinks that water up really fast and you don't refill the bowl, the seal on the bottom is going to cover back up with sap again, and then it's not going to take up the water. So you just have to be very mindful. Like, as soon as we get our trees in, we give them a fresh cut and we put them in water, and then they stay in water indefinitely. You know, you need to make sure that that bucket of water does not dry out at any time.
So how long, if you do all these things, how long should your Christmas tree last? Because the people who buy real trees, they're like, oh, if I get it too early, is it not going to be a good idea?
Yeah. So again, all the trees have been cut. So,
okay, that's a really good point.
I mean, you know, you're going to be caring for it, you know. So if you want to buy it and don't want to put it in your house yet, leave it outside in the shade. But again, that bucket's got to stay full of water.
And let's talk about running out. That's one of the things I've learned from you is if you're not thinking about it early, you may walk in the door and there aren't any trees. Is that a possibility?
I mean, I would say that, you know, they've been saying that there's a shortage in Christmas trees for years. We've been getting about the same amount, you know, for the last 6 years. You know, they do look phenomenal this year. They're coming in really, really good quality. I don't think you have to panic. I think there's enough trees to go around.
All right. And also, how tall a tree do you need? What do you tell people in terms of ceiling height and tree size?
Yeah.
Are there any guidelines?
Well, people want to get the tallest tree that will fit in their house, that's for sure. But I don't think that's necessarily, you know, needed. I mean, a tall tree takes a lot more to decorate. So just be mindful of, you know, an 8-foot Christmas tree is a very large tree, and it's going to take a lot of energy to keep that, you know, to decorate it, and a lot of ornaments. And so, you know, and also the 8-foot trees are a really nice shape. You know, the taller that they are, you have to think that that is a living tree, and then you want it to stand perfectly in the middle of your living room. So people just have to keep that in mind. It's not a fake tree. It is a live, real tree that was grown in the woods. And so they have to kind of set your expectations on that.
All right. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And thanks for joining us. And as always, you can catch all our powerful reporting and exclusive insights at KTBS Plus as we dig deeper into the stories shaping our community. Find all our podcasts wherever you get your favorites or stream them now at ktbs.com/podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back here next month for Johnette's Garden Club. See you then.